So maybe you can just start off with talking about, we talked a little bit about this just a few minutes ago, but how you got into fly fishing and how it all started, and how the Steamboat Inn thing, kind of all that came to be.
Well, I got into fly fishing. Basically, I got into fly fishing because my father was a fly fisherman back in the 1920s. And when I was born, as soon as I was hatched, we were up out in the river somewhere. And I was born in a little town of Carlton,
Yep.
out of McMinnville. And my first, we used to spend a lot of time up on Panther Creek, which is just a little stream just west of Carlton, up there in the hills.
It flows into like the South
Hill.
Yam Hill. Yep.
Yep. And I also fished back in the 20s and in the Yam Hill, South Yam Hill, in the the North Yam Hill.
Yeah.
Up out of Yam Hill in Carlton and up in that area.
It's all wine country now up there.
Yeah. And it used to be on that hillside below Carlton going west, that used to be a big mill endeavors out there, and they had big that huge flat area was all pond. It all was all a big
like a
log pond.
Yeah, mill pond. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was huge.
Huh.
Huge.
So that was a huge industry when you were growing up in there. Yeah.
Well, Carlton. Joe Flora had what was called Carlton and Coast Railroad that went up and covered that whole area up west of Carlton with railroad, and they bring trainload after trainload every day, logs as long as this table.
Yeah.
Wide.
Right.
Huge.
Old growth.
Old growth. One log to a flat car.
I was gonna say they called them one loaders or something.
One log to a flat car.
Yeah.
Not a truck, but a railroad flat car.
Wow.
Some of those were just unbelievable.
Are there any of those trees out here anymore?
You don't see any of them left at all like that.
Yeah.
You don't. There's a few. There's one big tree up on the mountain up here.
Yeah.
That I don't know if you've ever been up there or not, but it's a huge old. There are several of those big trees in that one area there.
Yeah.
8-10 foot through,
Yeah. Yeah.
But boy, that out of Carlton, between there and Tillamook, it was probably the best tree growing area in the world. It's out from the southern Washington on the coast there, on the Coast Range.
Yep.
Down to Salmon River.
Oh yeah.
From there south, they started dropping off again, but that one area in there, they had some humongous trees. It was quite an area.
It's a temperate. I think it's like the only temperate rainforest.
Yeah,
that's what they call it or something.
Yeah, it was an amazing area. But like I say, I was.
Tell them about your first fish.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Tell about your first fish with your dad. The big fish that you got that your dad didn't.
Oh well. No, like I said, we'd go fishing practically every. Well, Dad had a garage in Carlton, Oregon, and but every weekend we'd travel somewhere in the state, or in fact all summer. A lot of times we'd take off and he'd just let my son, his son-in-law, or my brother-in-law, or someone run his business, and we'd just take off and fish all over the whole
for
Northwest.
Trout, steelhead, everything.
Trout, you name it.
Yeah.
Mainly trout.
Yeah.
Dad was mainly a trout fisherman, and that was quite an exciting life for.
So he was your first, biggest mentor.
Oh yes, yeah. He built his own lines. He built his own fly lines, with linseed oil and varnish, and his own rods. He was quite a thinker and an inventor. He what some of the things he come up with, invented originally?
Well, it was a windshield.
The windshield washers. He's one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's one. He had the first
Wow.
patent on.
So what did you do before those were out?
Huh?
Just before
in the 20s, yeah.
Before, I guess you just had to wipe it off with your hand before you had those.
Yeah. But he invented the first windshield washers, and
Wow.
all that,
Yeah.
and a lot of other things. He was very, very brilliant guy.
Huh.
You know.
On the coast when you got the fish.
What?
The fish you got on the coast when you were just little.
Oh, yeah, I was about probably 4 years old or something
Uh-huh.
like that. And at that time, there was a little bridge that went across Nesquin Creek.
Oh yeah.
Right, where you used to go across this bridge and then into the resort area
Yeah.
there. And I was fishing off that bridge, and I caught 18-inch cutthroat off that bridge. I was fishing there with my mom, and Dad was fishing up on the I don't know, Trask or Nestuck or something, probably fishing for trout. And I caught a bigger fish that day than he did, and that I'll still remember how proud I was of that guy.
Was it a cutthroat or
Cutthroat,
yeah?
big old sea run cutthroat to come up the Nesquin Creek,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And there was no wooden bridge there at that time.
Huh.
And I can still remember.
What was in Nesquin? Do you remember what that looked like? Was it a town?
Not much.
Yeah.
It was,
A couple of buildings or something?
yeah, just a small little village there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time over there.
Huh.
On the coast.
Yeah, that was actually, we were talking to Jay Nicholas.
Uh-huh.
That was his first fish.
Mhm.
Or I think his first steelhead he caught was on Nesquin too.
Uh-huh.
He told a similar story.
Yeah.
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 Huh. So you basically you were all fly fishing I mean, it was your
All my
dad
life.
was into all your life. And,
Yeah.
and when did the transition from like the Carlton and the whole out to here, how did all that take place?
Well, after when
Your dad died.
when my dad died in 1932, we moved over to my mom married a gentleman, and we moved over to Canby.
Oh, okay.
And I was living in a little town, a little village, no, but not even a village, a little area called New Era, which is just 3 miles north of Canby and about 5 miles south of Oregon City, right where Parrot Creek comes into the Willamette. And after my dad died, we moved. Mom married this guy from the Canby, and we moved over there. So, and I'd fish Parrot Creek all the time. In fact, that's what on our first date. I took.
Oh yeah. So maybe we can tell a little bit of the history about you two now.
Yeah.
So that's where you met. Was at Canby?
It can be, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and on our first date, I took her down and we fished for
No, that was the second date.
second date.
First date
Oh,
was
the
a
first
movie.
date, right. Yeah.
Came to the door and
Yeah.
I thought you were coming to talk to my dad, so he called me to come back out and say, I think this young man wants to talk to you or something.
And I
And-
had to ask her dad if I could take her and go to the movies.
Yeah. Nice.
And I did.
So
Ah.
the second date I should have known, because I came from a family that didn't do any kind of fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't catch any fish that day, but we caught crawdads,
Ah.
and
Yeah,
I
well-
thought it was great. I
Yeah.
just had a ball.
Little Parrot Creek, which comes in there by New Era,
Uh-huh.
and some of the side channels of that, side tributaries. Caught a lot of little crawdads and
That was in December. That was in
not
November
December. No,
5th,
there wasn't.
and then December 7th was Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so that was when things changed, of course. And
So-
he immediately went down to see if
Yeah,
he
I was
could-
already flying. I had my pilot's license.
Wow.
And when Pearl Harbor happened,
Huh.
and I knew I was going to be a fighter pilot because I was a superb athlete and just perfect vision.
Sure.
And so I went down the day after Pearl Harbor to enlist in the old Army Air Corps.
Yeah.
It's the first time I found out I was colorblind.
Wow.
And it broke my heart when the old flight surgeon come out and said, you're 90% colorblind, Moore. I got to reject you. So I went in the Army instead.
Yeah,
No kidding.
He just waited for the draft,
Oh wow.
which gave us time for me to
Get married.
old enough that mother let us get married.
Oh, I see.
So we were married
Oh, you were.
when
When
he
I
went
went
into
in
the
the Army.
service. Yeah.
Yeah. Went back to the Armored Force School at Fort Knox, Kentucky,
Uh-huh.
and took my basic training there, and then went down to Fort Oglethorpe for a while in Georgia, and then the old Camp Stewart, Georgia, Fort Stewart now, I guess it is.
Did you fish any of those places? You couldn't.
No,
Hmm.
no.
Oh,
The
right,
only
in
place
Georgia.
you fished was in Europe, in England, when
Yeah, I fished a little bit in England when we went over there. You know.
Oh, you did for like Atlantic salmon, or
No, just trout.
just trout? Yeah.
Well, actually, there was some Atlantic salmon in there. I
Yeah.
saw some, but I was just fishing for the browns.
Uh-huh.
there was a
Oh, yeah.
Lord
Yeah,
place there that
this Lord,
loaned
this
you
one,
a fly rod or something.
yeah, this one fellow that owned this manor and big property owner. He actually, I don't know why he would here. I was just a lonely little listed man, but he actually let me use one of his beautiful fly rods, and I fished on his property, and for trout, browns, you know. And like I say, I looking back at that, I can't believe that he would
Yeah.
do that, but he knew I loved it, you know.
Yeah.
I would go and just watch the creek and watch for fish, you know. And there were some browns in that little. It was just a creek about as wide as this table.
Wow.
But there were browns in there, something like that. Huge browns in some of the deeper pools.
So is that? I mean, that probably helped you keep a little bit of a connection to.
It kept while I was in England. It helped me keep my sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you're in the Army. So now you go from thinking that you're going to be flying planes to you're on the ground, like with the D-Day sort of.
Yeah.
The D-Day.
Yeah. And then landed on Utah Beach.
Really? So the whole stormed the beaches and that whole thing.
All the way through the whole thing.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Man, people in my generation, or probably even further back, would never, I don't know, I guess people seen movies, but there was one, Saving Private Ryan was a movie that was like, that was the first time I had ever seen in my life, because I didn't really get the history stuff, that it took me and put me in that position. Like you felt like you were that, you know what I mean? And it blew me away, because it kind of gives me goosebumps now just thinking about that was you were out there doing that.
That's right. They really
Was
followed the same path.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I landed on Utah Beach and was involved with the Battle of the Bulge, the whole thing. And then we were just on the outskirts of Berlin when we got pulled back over the Elbe at Magdeburg, let the Russians come in and take that area.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to watch that whole thing when the Russians come in. And like I said, it was scary as heck.
Wow.
And I immediately sent a letter to Jeannie right when the Russians came in, and I told her that after what I had seen, I expected we were going to have some problems with the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe the inhumanity of that.
Right.
But we in the U.S. Army did not realize just what the Germans put the Russians through.
Oh, yeah.
When they went into Russia.
Right.
And so they were kind of getting back at the Germans.
Yeah.
But I talk about the old term rape, pillage, and burn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I saw it.
Wow.
I saw it.
And you saw Dachau.
Yeah, and then I was one of the first ones to arrive in Dachau.
Huh.
Saw that. Yep.
What is is there anything taken away from that whole experience that you took that maybe in a positive way helped you in your life, or anything that was?
It made me. How can I use the term I want to use? It made me a man. I'll put it that way.
And how old were you when you went in?
well, when I was in there about 19,
Mm-hmm.
19,
So
20.
19 years old, and you were left. Or when were you done?
Huh?
When did you?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
Yep.
I went right through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And just on the, we were just on the outskirts of Berlin when we got pulled back. Let the Russians take over that area. And we were on a little place, just not a little place, but built a town by Magdeburg, Germany, on the Elbe River. When we got pulled back to the west side of that and watched the Russians come in, and it was scary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is. I'm super interested. I'd love to sit here. Maybe after we're done here, we could chat a little more about some of the history there. I was hoping you could maybe bring us into, I guess maybe take us to that point where you come back to the U.S. And then from there, and how does all that transition happen into the point where you guys wind up out here?
Well, when I come back from the Army, we were living in Canby. Well, we were already married. I was married already.
I was living in Canby.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah, I was. But we come back, and I was looking for something to do. So after I got out of the Army, and we bought a restaurant in Roseburg.
Oh,
Because I'd saved all his money that he sent home, and plus whatever I earned, and we had $3,000.
That was a lot of money then.
To start with, and his
Oh, wow.
brother-in-law put in
Several
money to
thousand.
help us so that we could buy this little restaurant in Roseburg.
That was the start of our Roseburg.
We didn't know a thing about
no.
buying a restaurant.
Didn't know anything about restaurants.
Found out.
What made you? Why a restaurant? Why not?
He wanted
Look,
business
some
for
kind of
himself.
business.
Yeah, you wanted to work for yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
I wanted to be on my own, and we had this little it was a pretty good sized restaurant. How many we seat? About 80, maybe.
Actually, I don't know. It was
What-
business people.
What was the name of it?
Moore's. Well, actually, at one time it was Sullivan's Cafe, and then we changed it to Moore's Cafe.
Uh-huh.
And
It was in downtown, so
right
it
in
was
downtown
It was
Roseburg.
for the
Okay.
business people. And,
Yeah. And every day I would take off and be up here on the river somewhere.
Oh, really?
after we got through the lunch
After
hour.
we got through the lunch hour.
So you didn't miss a beat. So you come back from the war and you're
It's
on the
fishing.
river.
it's fishing.
On the
He
river.
in
knew that
Steelhead.
river- He knew that river was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you betcha.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You had this
I
fellow
got-
that taught you about where some of the pools were, and he wouldn't let you fish first.
yeah,
He,
a fellow named friend of mine by the name of Curly Reynolds.
yeah.
Huh.
He showed me the first one. Really showed me the river up there
Yeah.
in 46, 47, 47. And he wouldn't let me fish through first. He always insisted that he fished first.
And he would
want
show.
you to mess it up.
No kidding. He'd say, "Okay, here's a run.
Yeah.
Here's a little rock. If you slide
Yeah.
it next to that rock."
Yeah. And he would do it first and let me come behind him.
Yeah.
And after a while, I got better than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So you just started going by yourself.
yeah, then I would come up and I got so adept in a hurry that I was catching tons of steelhead. I mean, every time I'd come up, I'd catch fish, and even when they weren't many being caught. And so they had the old North Umpqua Lodge, Clarence Gordon.
And is that what is became Steamboat?
Well,
No,
the
it's
lodge
across
was
the
on the
river.
other side of the river.
Across the
where
river.
Yeah, it was on the other side of the river.
Gotcha.
And but Clarence, I was fishing in front of his guest a lot, you know.
Oh yeah.
So he hired me to help
Oh,
take care of his guests.
to
So I would-
guide.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get in the road. I think more than
So was
anything
that your
else.
first guiding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did, and met some really, truly wonderful people that wound up helping us immeasurably when I had a chance to buy Clarence out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what we bought was the store that he
Yeah.
made out on the river because
Clarence had built this, what Steamboat Inn is now.
Yeah.
Clarence had built a little, well, in fact, there's a picture of it.
by
So,
the front door.
yes,
Oh,
by
okay.
the front door, there's a picture of it. The day we took over.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a very interesting experience starting that. And Jeannie had to do all the work, and I had all the fun. I'd go fishing.
Exactly right.
Huh.
No,
So-
it
so you-
was very hard.
Yeah,
For the
so you
first
had a-
couple of years,
So
especially.
the other side, so you have the current lodge now. That was the store. Then the other side was the lodge.
The old North Umpqua Lodge is on the other side
But,
of the
Gotcha.
river.
but he had closed that down because of the power company building the dams.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he had closed it down because he couldn't predict what was going to happen.
I see.
But the
I see.
river would get muddy, and and
Oh,
you
okay.
couldn't have people come from all over the world.
Right. And what year was this?
And 47, 40,
So 47.
47.
So this is when you started to see some effects from human logging and
well,
road building and-
Originally was building the dams.
Yeah.
And road building and
Yeah.
things like that. And then they started building the dams, building roads up the creeks, And
That's when it got bad, when
Yeah.
they started going
and this
up
is the
Steamboat
dam.
Creek.
There's like Steamboat. There's the dam that's still there, about 6 miles up at the campground, or not a dam, but there's a fish ladder.
It's just-
oh, there's ladders there.
Just a
up
ladder,
there.
yeah.
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 Ladder up. Well, just above Steelhead Creek. There.
Yeah. Wow. So you basically so now you're in it. So you've got this place, and you still have the place in Roseburg, the restaurant.
Mhm.
But we sold it right away.
Oh, okay.
Well, we had it. We had it that summer.
We tried.
We tried to run it that summer, and we just found out that was too far separated to try to do.
Gotcha.
So we,
In other words, the helper helping themselves, and
Oh,
that
really?
didn't work very
Oh, no
well.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're too spread out.
yeah,
So then you focus and said, okay, let's sell that and put it all here. And then
right.
did you move up here to
Yes.
there?
Oh, we were already moved.
Oh,
out.
you were already.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then was this at this location?
No,
or no.
No,
Steamboat.
at Steamboat Inn.
Steamboat. Gotcha.
We
Okay.
lived right in the building.
Huh.
And there was a fellow that was working on the road that left his equipment sitting there, and he told
He
you
had
you
a
could use
D8
it.
cat.
Yeah, and so that Frank took it down and cleared out a spot for some. I didn't know where he's going to put a cabin, but he had it figured out.
Yeah,
He cleared out a space and built 4 cabins that summer.
that's right. That's right. Wow. So slowly over time, you basically that became the Steamboat Inn, and
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
your.
that by the time that summer was over, it was Steamboat.
It
Inn.
was okay. And
Yeah.
you guys were all in there,
Absolutely.
and that was in 40 or what was the year of that when it first came?
That was 1957.
57, yeah,
57,
because it was
yeah.
57. You guys had that for 18 years up to 75.
Mhm.
Yeah. And what was in 75? What? Why did you guys sell, or how that all?
We had lost a daughter in 1970, and when after that happened, it just made a difference for me, just to still be there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this property. They had to put some houses on it for rentals and so forth, and we just decided to build a place, and
Originally, this was the location of the old Thunder Mountain Lodge,
Mm-hmm.
and had a road going down off of this road. This was the road at that time,
Okay.
and he had a road going down about where the gate is down there now, and had some tent frames around that corner. That's where the old original
Oh, I see.
lodge was up here. He really didn't get to run it very
No,
well.
he just got it started, and for sure he got it started. Here come the road and wiped out what he had to put in
no
down
kidding.
there.
Wow.
They just he had no choice.
Yeah.
So basically, we have the history. I mean, there's a lot more to it. I know than that as far as everything. But you've got the Steamboat. You guys are going, then you eventually sell it. I would like to get a little more into just on like fishing, because a lot of the people that listen to this, they always love to. I know they'd love to hear about how you have caught fish over the years on the North Umpqua.
Any time that our guests caught a fish for dinner, and Frank, I'd say that's not enough fish, Frank, for everybody. So Frank could go out to my pool and get another fish.
That's right.
Bring it in.
And your pool is just.
And not my pool was actually his pool.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
That
Jeannie's
was, that
pool
was
right
the
below
name
the
he
end.
gave it.
Oh, really?
His
That's so
name.
funny because we talked a little bit about my
Yeah,
dad.
yeah.
My mom's name is Marcia,
Uh-huh.
and on the Deschutes, there's a run called
Marcia.
Marcia's Drift,
Uh-huh.
and it was the same sort of thing where she used to go out there and she fished spoons
Mhm.
on the Deschutes, but she caught way more fish than anybody.
Yeah.
And so that was her drift, and it's still
No, he was the one that went out to
Yeah.
up there. It was up there near the Mott Bridge. So,
Oh, okay.
Up there in that area.
Yeah.
He never told anybody where it was. He'd just go get the fish. And
Yeah.
I could hook a fish in it.
So what was it? So explain how you would get into a fish. I mean, what was any tips or secrets, or you just go out there? I mean, would you put
Well, I
on a
just-
special fly, or
It just had this one place there that fish would stack up and nobody else knew they were there. And so they were never bothered. So,
and they're stacking up like in ledges, or
yeah, right against the ledges and
Yeah.
holding in there. And I'd go up there and make one cast usually and have a fish.
and what was the cat, like a long cast or a short?
No, but
Really?
you
Like
yeah,
15 feet or something.
at the most, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
How many spots out there on this river now are
There's
still?
not actually quite a few, but most
Little.
people don't realize.
Yeah.
it. So most people, in fact, a lot of the people today will actually spook the fish.
That's right. That's right.
They will
which
actually
is
spook them.
kind of good, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a good tip, that when
Yeah.
you come up, don't just walk up to the. You might have a fish sitting right out in front
Right
of
in
you,
front of you.
and
You
so you
bet.
would get up and like sneak up,
You bet I
like
would.
on your hands and knees.
You bet.
You know, on our
And-
25th anniversary, when you were teaching me how to
Uh-huh.
fly fish seriously for steelhead, that's just what I did. I didn't see the fish until I got out and was walking along the side of the road, and you were fishing the area, and there went that fish, and it was right there.
Spooked. First
I
time
just
she
spooked it
realized
out.
there'd be a fish there, say.
Yeah, and then that's when I realized that, there's a fish there. I don't
Yeah.
have to think there's no fish. There is.
Romer Gray was Lynn Gray's son.
Oh yeah.
He was the most stealth fisherman I've ever seen in
Yeah.
my life. He would sneak up on the pool, and
Raleigh.
just crawl.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, he was something else. I'll
So
tell
you,
you.
so you weren't necessarily catching all of these fish in like the tail out. You were catching some of them right in off
Oh,
tight
lot of-
in.
Yeah, a lot of spots were in little
Yeah.
pockets, and things like that.
Right.
And that's one thing Romer taught me, boy.
Hmm.
It's a-
Romer and Lauren, both sons, stayed with us quite a bit
Uh-huh.
in those days.
Oh, okay.
Among other
uh,
people, Jack Hemingway.
Hmm. No kidding.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jack was a superb fisherman, Jack Hemingway.
he's the one that first introduced the spade rod to.
Yeah.
Okay.
To have.
Yeah.
So that was it. So that was the first spay on this river.
Yeah.
So far as we know,
Yeah.
that was the first.
And
one.
that, and to date, have you ever casted a spay rod? No. So you
No.
never. Yeah. So what was the biggest reason why you never got into it?
They're a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
All that length, you don't need it. I can throw it single-handed as far as they can throw those things. So
Yep. Yeah.
So why use them?
I can't wait to share this episode with my dad because he sees eye to eye with you
Yeah.
on this, and he never got into the spay
Well,
either.
You don't cast a spay rod. You throw it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's a difference.
Exactly. You kind of
Yeah.
huck it or
Yeah.
shoot it. Yeah.
You're cheating. Well, that's not quite the word
Yeah.
for it, maybe, but
So what do you think out here? So you have your single-handed rod all these years. You've caught lots of fish. I mean, what do you think? You hear people talk about it's a real challenging river to fish. Is it just the wading? Is that the biggest thing?
that's a lot of it, yes. And then the way the bedrock formations,
Mhm.
and there's still, there's very few left now. The last few years, people have finally started really discovering some of the little pockets that
Yeah.
most of them never knew before.
Right.
But all of a sudden, I'll go down and oh no, and then found that one now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for years, a lot of them, all I had to do was go down and make one cast, and I could find a fish.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And are the fish? Do you think they're extra spooky here? I mean, have you do you go with really long leaders and?
I don't know.
Okay.
9 foot.
Yep, just pretty normal.
That's all you need.
And the fish. So the wading's tough. The river's pretty clear most of the time. So the fish are a little spooky, but nothing different than any other summer steelhead.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Main thing is just to get a good drift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
and we talked about that a little bit off air. Is that the mending?
Right, mending. And to me, these guys using weighted flies and stuff, it just
Can you use weighted flies?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you can use weighted flies.
And certain times of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's certain times when you can't.
There's certain times
you're
you can't.
not supposed to.
I think from the 1st of July to
September.
But you would think with summer steelhead, and I guess we're talking summers here,
right.
that I guess it's just in my experience, you're fishing flies on the top, or even riffle
Dries.
hitching and dries.
Yeah.
So why would you want to get down?
Because you stand a lot more better chance of hooking a fish.
You will. So that's it.
Oh yeah.
Just getting down to it. Yeah.
Getting down to them.
Yeah.
But no, I love to. Like I say, I just never have gone to the weighted stuff, except in the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
And then I won't use some of the stuff that they use because, God, it's dangerous. You hit yourself in the back of the head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't really need it,
Yeah.
You can catch fish without it. You might not catch quite as many, but what the heck?
Huh.
It shouldn't be, to me anyway, a steelhead fishing on a river like this it's a real gift to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And to do it, make it like if I may use that crazy term, it's like going to a whorehouse.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. It's down and dirty.
That's right.
That's I was going to say the same thing. That on the Deschutes, again, that's where I've done most of my summer steelhead. Mm-hmm. You see some guys out there, because you can use weight and all sorts of stuff. You'll see guys out there nymphing.
Yeah.
And it's always like, I always think, nymphing.
Yeah. But it's not nymph. It's like some of them will use a pound of lead.
Oh, yeah. The things are hucking out. It's crazy. But I always wonder, I'm thinking all this time, it's such a great river for swinging. Why not stay on the surface?
Did you ever know or hear of a guy named Bill Howland?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, he lived right there by Maupin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard the name.
Yeah, he used to have that have a place up on the hillside right above that run above Maupin there.
Oh yeah. I think Langtree's riffle is what we used to call it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to go over there and fish with him a lot on that spot.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah.
He was a superb fisherman.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Huh. Wow. So you fished a lot of your stuff, not much down. Did you get into the surface dries too much?
Oh, yeah. I love dry
fly
fishing for steelhead.
Yep. So when would you pull those out? When versus like fishing just a wet fly?
Huh?
When would you go for the dries versus just a normal wet fly?
Same time, all year.
So summertime right now, August, September.
Yeah, up usually up till the water got down into say in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Anything above from probably 45 up.
Okay. Yeah. So right now you could go out there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is ideal right now.
Okay. And when you're doing that, do you just tie it on and use a dry line and just swing it just like you would normally?
Well, mend.
And make your mend. Yeah.
Mend them and.
And you just want to get that wake.
Yeah. Just have it come across nice and smooth.
And what's that? How does that, for somebody that's never caught one on a dry? What does it look like? What does it feel like when that fish takes versus a wet fly?
Well, it actually, normal wet fly drift, there's very little. Because a lot of times on the wet fly, it's down, you get an angle down like this when they hit, and they'll come up and
they'll hammer it anyway.
Hammer it. Yeah. Turn over the top and take it going down. Same thing you do on a dry fly. Except a lot of times on dry fly, if I'm fishing a regular dry, I'll be casting upstream, right like this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then just have it come fairly close to me.
Okay.
A lot of times, just let it float down. You'll see them come up, slide up underneath it right in front of you.
No kidding. Yeah. And you're doing will you do a downstream mend to try to speed
just taking, what you cast up like that, and then kind of just give a little flip mend like that, and you'll just kind of
Wow.
and
So these fish, so like right there,
Mhm.
a fish will take, and that's a
Mhm.
fish that you've kind of snuck up so it doesn't see
right,
you.
stayed real low so
Yeah.
you don't spook
And
them.
when you're again back to that low, so are you casting like on
Yeah.
your low casting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's like they're casting like that, it'd be up,
Okay.
float down.
So what do you think if you had to say over the years percentage of fish that you've caught 30 feet or less versus more than 30 feet?
Well, it all depends on the time of year.
Okay. Say summer, say this time of year.
Summertime, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Right. You've caught so many fish you get
Yeah. It just.
But you've caught a
anytime-
lot. You've caught a lot both ways, right
Oh,
up
you
front
bet,
and right
you
up.
bet, you
Yeah.
bet, yeah.
Yeah.
Wintertime, of course, you got usually have to make a longer cast, but to get to some of the spots because you can't wade the places,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
you got to cast further.
Okay.
but
Hmm.
but it's not that even in the wintertime it's not that difficult. A lot of places you'll have fairly short cast.
Okay. All right. What do you think is you did so when you had the steamboat for 18 years, you guided most of that time, and then did you guide after, and what do you think in all the guiding time was the hardest thing about guiding?
I don't think there was anything really tough about guiding. The personalities of people.
Yeah.
Was probably the most
Sure.
difficult.
It was part of the whole thing. If the people stayed with you, that you would take them.
Yeah.
Well, that was just
to
everybody knew
learn
that
about
was the
the
deal.
river.
Yeah, I stayed at the end. Well, I'd take them out.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
charge.
It
Yeah.
wasn't,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't charged for it.
Oh, that's great.
So hey,
Wow.
Mhm.
and we had people come from all over the world,
Oh, of course.
to fish
Jeez.
with us. And
So it was pretty. You knew most years in and out. I mean, the runs probably went up and down then as well, but you would get fish. You weren't
Oh,
too
yeah,
worried about
yeah.
catching fish.
well, I fished practically every day, and
Yeah.
I knew every flow of the river where they'd be and
Yeah.
how to get to them.
And what do you think was if you go out in the morning for a morning, and are you fishing mostly just when the sun's not on the water?
I'd fish up till the time the sun come up,
And then you went, okay, and then you
and
didn't
I'd go in and have breakfast.
have breakfast, and then so you wouldn't fish too often when the sun's on the water.
No, I did a lot of it.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah.
And would you fish it any differently than you would?
No, well, a lot of times I would fish upstream.
Yeah.
And they'll make a little upstream cast.
Yeah.
Because I knew exactly right where practically every fish in the river was.
Uh-huh.
That time I knew
Wow.
where every fish was holding, and I knew just how to
You knew every little
nuance and how to
crook
get
yeah.
hook a fish, in different places.
Wow.
That's a lot of times I'd hook tons of fish close from here to
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So what was back in the day, do you think was a good like a good morning fishing?
Oh gosh, I don't know. If any time if you could hook two or three fish, you were doing
Feeling
well.
good. Oh yeah.
Then of course there were some days where you couldn't miss.
Some days you couldn't catch.
That's
And
true.
Some days
And some days you couldn't catch.
Yeah. What were those days when you had when you couldn't catch if you had a client or somebody? Was it?
Jack dishes.
Oh yeah, Jack would go nuts, but
What-
most people appreciate it.
Yeah, just being here on this river. This is a
That's
beautiful
right.
river. I
That's
mean,
it. Most people
old
appreciated
growth
that.
trees
Well,
and
what bothered Jack was the fact that other people were catching fish and he
Yeah.
wasn't.
oh, that's always tough. That's
He,
yeah.
he was a superb fisherman, most methodical fisherman I've ever. He was a chemistry professor at Oregon State,
Oh, okay.
and he was one of the.
Brilliant man.
He was a brilliant man. He could have. Every university in the world wanted him to be there,
No kidding.
and he stayed at Oregon State because of the North Umpqua
Wow.
River.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he would sneak out there, and it was interesting to watch him. He was the most.
Huh.
He wasn't the best caster in the world.
Yeah.
But boy, he sure knew this river.
And that was it. He knew it so well. He knew it. Same thing. He'd get within 10 feet of a fish.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a superb fisherman.
Huh.
DECIUS, Jack Dishes.
Okay.
And he was, like I say, he was one of the leading professors in the chemistry side in the whole world.
Uh huh.
He stayed at Oregon State just for that.
No kidding.
First time I met him,
Huh.
Was in 1949, and he had this big.
At the
He
old
had-
lodge.
At the old lodge, old North Umpqua Lodge. He had this big hat on, and it was the most hair I've ever seen any man below that hat.
Yeah.
And I went home that night and I said, Jeannie, I just saw met a man with the heaviest head of hair I have ever seen. The next time I saw Jack, he took his hat off, and he didn't have a bit of hair up.
No kidding. Oh wow. That's so he had hair. It was just.
Yeah,
It was
he had a
Just
lot of
all
hair.
down below these ears.
That's funny. Oh
I
man.
mean, it was on the bottom end of the head. It wasn't any up on top.
Gotcha. So he had like an afro at the lower end of his.
Yeah, we still have a tie to him because his son rents one of our houses.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh cool.
He's our mailman.
Oh no
Yeah.
kidding. There you go.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Huh. So you mentioned a couple of, I guess, mentors over the year. Is there anybody people that were mentors for you we haven't talked about?
I
Colonel Hayden.
mentioned Curly Reynolds.
Oh, Curly.
Colonel Hayden.
Yeah, well, Colonel
Colonel Hayden is the reason we moved to this.
Well,
Yeah.
Colonel Hayden's the one that loaned us the money to start the inn,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
and he was a retired military man who taught military science at Cal Berkeley.
Oh,
And
wow.
he would come up every summer and
Stay up for a few weeks.
fish, yeah.
Oh gosh, he come
And
back.
he was
He was there more than anybody.
And he come up, stayed up when we started the inn. Well, he was there all the time.
And he at the end of the season, he would write us a note about how we could improve. What we
No
do.
kidding.
Yeah.
Typical Army.
Yeah.
colonel.
All right. Exactly.
However, his family, all of his family got the same kind of treatment.
Yeah.
So we felt free
That's right.
is okay.
Wow. So
Yeah.
man, so people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Did you see people up here
Oh,
coming
yeah.
in?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
And what do you think? I mean, I just know being here. I mean, it's amazing. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's got steel. I mean, what do you think? Is there something that makes it so special? Anything that we?
Well, it's the nearest river to this, in my judgment, is the Locksaw in Idaho.
Oh yeah, I've been on the Locksaw.
And the Locksaw is the nearest.
Yeah. It's kind of like we're in a canyon.
Right.
Yeah.
We're in a pretty steep canyon.
And the fish the same way, and
Yeah.
Locksaw had some marvelous steelhead on it.
Oh yeah.
It did. We don't know what it's like now.
And
Right, yeah, I don't know.
I used to be over there every year.
Oh no kidding.
Yeah,
I
we
used to love to go over there
every
and-
summer and
Oh
spend
wow.
And fish it a little bit.
Yeah.
I had terrible to leave this river, but it was interesting to go and
Sure.
fish that too.
Uh-huh.
And I'd fish it the same way, and I'd was able to catch fish when a lot of the other people wouldn't.
Yeah. That is tough to leave your home river. I have that same challenge. It's just like being here now.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh man, you just want to keep fishing.
Yeah.
It's like somebody's, I just have that same thing. I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
So do you, I was out there this morning and I had a couple. I had one that I would say, like you talk about, we always talk grabs, tips, taps, stuff like this from fish. And when you get a summer steelhead that gets, today I had the kind of a grab.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was like a solid,
Right.
it felt like a steelhead, but I also caught a bunch of fish that were, some smolts and some smaller fish that were tipping it and some were on.
Mm-hmm.
Have you always seen that with fish that you're going to, or can you tell when you get that touch?
Oh yeah, usually.
Yeah.
And most of the time, your steelhead are going to be in a different spot than what
Oh, there you go.
your trout are.
There you go. So if you're catching trout, maybe you should be go to a
You
different
might
spot.
not be quite in the right spot.
There you go. That's a good a good tip for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
At least that's what I've found.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Yeah, because the steelhead might be more down in a
And-
slot or in a
Yeah, a
deeper.
little bit heavier.
Yep, heavier,
heavier
right?
flow.
A little more protected.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. What do you think when you look back? And I'm not even sure when you were, if you're 25. I ask this question occasionally. When you were 25, is there any words of advice you would give yourself looking back at that person? I'm not sure. 25? Were you guys married?
Yeah.
Oh, we were married. I was
Oh,
17.
you were married. Oh, right.
When the war
Yeah, you were
was-
married before. So
Yeah.
25. So you were back from the war.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came back from the war.
So you were back, and you'd already purchased the restaurant.
The head restaurant in Roseburg.
and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he had that little son that he was just so delighted with. Yeah, he had a breakdown. He had a breakdown that summer that our boy was a little over a year old, and we ended up letting his brother-in-law run the business, and we went down to his friends, his cousin's farm, and we were there the whole summer, and we would go up in the mountains up on the road, Upper Rogue, and little Frankie, was just this little thing. He'd pick up a stick and try to do what his daddy was doing, you know.
He'd emulate me, you know.
Oh yeah,
casting that stick.
Yeah.
So the first time that we leave there, he finds a metal fly rod in a store there in Medford somewhere. And Frankie had his first fly rod.
No kidding.
Yes. And
how old was he?
He was about 15 months by then.
Holy cow!
Yeah, Frank had a breakdown there. He had a heat stroke.
Oh.
And he had Frankie out with him to round up the cattle when it hit him, and he actually crawled back to the house.
Jeez.
And little Frankie walking beside him.
Yeah. No kidding.
To get back.
Oh wow.
It was out in Salmon Valley, out in Medford.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, Frankie was our fishing boy. I'll tell you, he really was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, as far as we talked a little bit at the start about kind of the war and some of the stuff, you know, that whole part of your life. Mending the Line, the movie, which I think is coming out, or it's a documentary on your. Maybe you can talk a little bit about.
Oh, it's been out. It's been out.
Oh, it's been out. Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So maybe you can talk about how what that's about, or what is the story there?
What would you say? It's about just basically about our life.
It's about you're going back to
Normandy, to Europe.
Actually, to Normandy, to the stream that you saw in World War II, and had seen this fish hanging on this building, and the thought just went through his head. Oh boy,
we were
fish there
chasing the Germans, you know.
Yeah.
And we're going. They were pulling back up out onto the Brittany Peninsula, and we were going to cross this bridge and over the Horn River, I think it was. And anyway, I looked down and I saw this beautiful Atlantic salmon hanging out on the wall outside this building down there, and I thought, oh God, if I could just stop and go down and fish like that now, I would love to be able to fish for one of those.
Yeah.
And that's why I went back over after, you know, after a while when I went back to Normandy. That's why I went back to there and was able to.
Well, these young kids that had come up and done a fly fishing thing with Frank on the river here, asked him at the end of that time, said, Frank, what would you like to do if you had a chance to do something different with your life at this point? And Frank said, he said, I would really like to go back to Normandy and try to fish that stream.
Catch some salmon out of that stream.
So that's it.
And that was how the story started. They put it all together.
Wow.
And did the film.
They filmed everything, and we went over there for how long?
It was a very popular thing for a while there.
Yeah, I hooked quite a few fish.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Fishing the same sort of technique?
Well, he didn't get to hook too many because they were more interested in where.
That was frustrating.
What it looked like for the camera, rather than whether there was a fish there or not.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That was frustrating.
Yeah.
But I went along with him.
Yeah. That's good. So I was noticing out on the road. I mean, this is a highway.
Yes.
This is
down
not
below.
Down below.
Yeah.
We have a highway. I'm not even sure the highway number or whatever, but
it's 138.
Okay, it's that's right, 138.
138 east.
138 east. So I noticed as I was fishing, there's a lot of logging trucks coming out.
But not like they used to be.
Not like they used to be.
Yeah.
They used to be 10 times more.
Really? 10 times more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there hasn't been for a while. This summer they were really stopped because everything was so dry. And hot,
they had to stop. That's right.
Yeah. So now that they've got a chance,
they're going. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They're up. Yeah, they're doing more and more. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch just briefly because I think it is a big part of kind of some of the stuff you've done, and we were maybe we could talk just briefly about the Pass Creek, another movie, right? Another documentary.
Mm-hmm.
another film that was back in the 60s, right? Early
I can't
60s.
remember,
I
late
think it was
60s.
somewhere in there.
66, 67.
Well, that was when it got, yeah, but what you started early 60s, starting the record of the, because he, right off the logging was changing the
Streams.
level,
Yep.
the level, the water
Right.
coming into from the streams,
Muddy
Patton
and-
Creek
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Susan Creek, they were,
Yep.
I mean, Steamboat Creek, they
Steamboat,
were
right?
just hot. It was hot,
Huh.
and
Temperatures went from
so he
average of
every darn day he'd
57
be
up
out
to
there,
80,
he'd go and-
85.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
he'd go and take temperatures, for all these little places where they were logging and everything, and because this BLM was the one that really got
Oh,
it
it
in
was
the
more than
movie.
that.
Yeah.
That was because they had this spot they really
Sure.
Screwed up
tore
on.
it up,
Yep.
and it really just, well, the other thing he did was when they finished the film, this man, he could fly. He
All
had
right.
we had a small plane
Yeah.
in Roseburg,
Uh-huh.
and he would take that plane and he would fly wherever that
All over the
the
United
BLM
States.
was, all over, mostly over Oregon though, but
On the Oregon and
but
Montana, Idaho.
No
and
kidding.
so forth.
all over.
And he would be
California.
in the audience when they brought out the film, and
Yeah.
and he would just make them look like fools.
Yeah.
And
Oh, in the film. So basically the film was a
They
film
were-
showing
they were
all
there.
the habitat destruction.
Right. And the BLM would try to confute that.
Yeah.
See?
And then you would be there.
I'd be in the audience.
Yep.
Right.
And then I would just
Yeah,
shoot them
yeah.
down.
You'd jump out and
Yeah.
right. So tell the other
Really,
side of the
really,
story.
I flew all over the whole country.
No kidding.
Had
Yeah.
I had
Wow.
a Piper Comanche, good, beautiful
He
airplane.
ended
Yep.
up in actually Washington D.C. for
Wow.
to talk to some
Congressional hearings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you were a conservationist when conservationist wasn't even a word,
That's
much of a
right,
word,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, these fellas took that on to do that film. It was really interesting because they were set to go do some film up in Canada or
Canada.
something, and it followed through. And Frank said, "Well, look, guys, this needs attention."
Yeah.
And
Oh, really?
And
So nobody knew about this.
No, so they just started
Well,
went up
I was
and
trying to show people what was happening, but
it takes something like that.
Yeah.
But these guys were professional movie people
Sure.
from Los Angeles.
Yep.
And they come up and I
San
said, hey,
Francisco, actually.
I want to take you on. I want you to make a film,
Right.
and that's where that Mending the Line came from.
Okay.
And it was that film that,
Yeah.
that did it because it
Really changed things.
It just showed the bleakness of
Yeah.
what they were doing.
Yeah.
You
Did
know?
you see when that was going on? Direct like steelhead runs and effects of.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No question.
You saw. Well, you couldn't. It was so muddy you couldn't fish because.
Well, yeah. Even when
that.
it wasn't muddy, though, they would wipe out the gravel bars.
Oh yeah. Oh right, because all the yeah.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
what they were doing was just changing the whole makeup of the stream.
Of the stream, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they'd run right through the middle of the stream with the cats,
Wow.
and doze them out.
Well, and that was I think. Yeah, that's been done all over the.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they figured the fish
Stupidity.
would
Yeah.
survive anything.
They could do it and do it right,
Wow. And
and not hurt anything.
yeah,
And that's what I tried to point out.
I see.
And we finally got that across.
Yeah. And now I think I'm not sure what the name of the bill is, but there's a bill in Congress, the Moore Foundation. I'm not sure the exact
More
name.
sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
More sanctuary.
Would-
Yeah.
That's it. But it's on hold until something changes.
Sure. But there is this
Congress,
this thing out there. Oh right, yeah, because of the politics, right? But there is this bill, and I know there's
Yeah.
people that are still pushing to
Right.
get this done, which would set aside a large chunk of land,
All
Yeah.
complete.
That whole drainage.
the whole drainage,
Steamboat Creek
the whole
drainage.
stream. But yep,
Mm-hmm.
would basically protect
Yeah.
that for
Yeah.
forever.
Perpetuity.
Wow.
Yeah, because there is that.
You'd still be able to log it,
Yeah.
but you'd have to do it with extreme care
So
and take other resources other than the timber into consideration.
yeah, was that how did it? Was it? Did it feel like?
Well, he was off running to do
Oh,
this
right.
and running to do that, you know. somebody had to stay and run the place.
That's right. Oh wow! So you're out here doing all this conservation stuff, and you're running the whole.
Well, I'm
And
trying
And
to
so while
keep
you're
it
doing
going.
this, so are you also out there guiding the fishermen
No,
too?
no guiding.
All right.
No.
So basically, during that time, the people that
Yeah.
were coming up here didn't have a guide.
Well,
Or,
Actually,
Frankie,
that's
our
when
son-
they started the steamboaters group and
Right,
all
right.
that because
But our son was and is just a superb fisherman.
Oh, really?
Frankie.
oh, okay.
Yeah, he was.
when
Really,
Frankie was, how old was he that time he took Lauren out? 12 or something? Something like that.
10 or 12.
And you
Out
you
fishing.
sent him out with
Yeah,
Lauren
Lauren,
because
Zane
you were
Gray's
busy.
son.
Oh yeah.
He went out with Lauren Gray and Frankie outfished Lauren.
Well, Lauren went through the water and he didn't catch anything, and Frankie came
Come
in
back
behind
through.
him and caught something.
caught
and
fish.
No
Lauren
kidding.
was so unhappy.
He
I
was
can't tell you.
really ticked off.
Yeah. Yeah.
That, he said that this kid had no manners
All right.
at all. And Frank said, well, what did you say? Well,
I
Lauren,
just
he's
said,
a better
Lauren, I
fisherman."
says,
Yeah.
he is just a kid, but he's a damn good fisherman.
Yeah. Wow.
Because Lauren thought he was one of the best.
Well, Lauren was a good fisherman.
He was a good fisherman.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Frankie outfished him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wow. So there's some big. In your life, this conservation piece,
Mhm.
the river. All the. When you look back, say, look out 50, 100 years from now, and you look back, is there something you would want to, you'd want you guys to be remembered for? Anything
just-
special?
Yeah, really, the thing would be wonderful to think that the river
The
was
river was
still
still
there,
here.
Mm-hmm.
still there, and producing fish.
You can still catch steelhead.
Yeah.
It
And
was-
and other things too, that
Yeah.
even the little cutthroat and everything else in the stream is to me is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and the forest too.
And the forest too, yeah. But you can log and do it correctly, you won't screw things up. That's
Mhm.
basically.
Yeah.
I mentioned that already.
Yep. No, there's ways to do it for
do
sure.
it and do it right.
Yeah.
And there'll be all the resources can be utilized.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have? I always ask all my guests as far as flies. I'm not sure if you're into some names. Do you have a name of a fly you could send out to everybody, or a fly you love to catch a fish on, or maybe you caught a lot of fish on?
Muddler.
Well, yeah, but my
Well, yeah, but that's the one that got put on the
yeah, but
The muddler?
ugly muddler.
yeah, the ugly muddler.
Oh, the ugly muddler.
Yeah, but basically the old skunk fly was
Oh, the
Yeah.
green butt skunk.
Skunk.
Oh no,
no,
not the
just-
green butt. The skunk.
just
that
the
green
skunk.
butt is just a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah. So you don't like the green butt?
Well, it's all right, but
It's all right.
it just when it was Dan Callahan's creation.
Oh, it was. The
Yeah.
green butt is Dan Callahan's.
Mhm.
Okay, and he was. And what was Dan Callahan again? He was.
he was an attorney from Salem,
Okay.
But he,
and
but
just he was on the Fish and Wildlife Commission with me,
Oh, I see.
and
and he
superb.
was-
Dan was a superb
Photographer.
fisherman
and photographer.
Huh?
And photographer.
and photographer.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
he took
Yeah, we've got a lot of
Lot of
pictures.
those
I
pictures
was
Oh, no
pictures
kidding.
up here
Oh, they
like
are.
that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And some of the pictures I noticed in the Steamboat, there
Yeah,
were
they're
some. I saw
Dan's.
his name. Some Dan's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those were
Okay.
Dan's.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the skunk. So you like a white wing, right? Is that?
Yeah, the white wing.
It's got a white wing.
That's the old skunk.
That's the
fly.
old skunk.
Yeah,
Little red tail.
yeah, red tail and
Uh-huh.
black body and silver.
Okay,
trim.
so that's your go-to wet
Yeah.
fly.
That's one I always used.
I like black
and it's
too.
just as good as any of them.
So do you think a purple fly, black fly, really
Doesn't make it.
doesn't matter? Get in front of the.
Yeah, get it. The main thing is get them in front of the and
Yeah.
present it right.
If somebody was coming out here for their first time and you just had to tell them a little tip about maybe finding a fish to get their first fish in this river, what would you tell them?
Find a rapids, or fast water. Go above that fast water and if you can find a rock or a ledge. And a lot of times the fish will hold against that ledge where there'll be a little bit of break in the current, or in front of a rock, or
On the
ledge rock
side.
or whatever it may
And
be.
in front being like maybe upstream of a rock,
Upstream of a rock
Upstream
or
of
a
a rock.
ledge or something
Yep.
like that.
because they're on that.
There's a break in the current right there,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll hold right in that soft spot.
So
And usually they don't like that heavy current.
Yeah.
and they'll find that soft spot every time.
When you're using when you're out there swinging and you got your 9-foot leader and then your fly line, how do you know to judge where your fly is to make sure it's
You
going?
can see it.
You see it. Oh, you can see your.
Usually, yeah, you
Yeah.
can see, and you can also follow the line.
Yeah.
If you got 100, 115, 120 feet out, follow the end of that line. It's right there somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to be exact, but just get in the general.
Yeah.
Wow. Is there a fish out of all the years? Any memorable story? Anything that comes to mind? Or one fish, maybe a big fish, one that.
How about that one that right up at the by Bogus Creek that you went?
Oh yeah.
That was there for all summer,
all
and you
summer.
kept trying to catch it.
This one fish that it would I don't know, it had to be.
It was a big fish.
It was a big fish. I would say it was probably 15 to 18
Jeez.
pounds. Good summer
Yeah.
steelhead. And it held there for weeks. And I would try for it.
We were coming down from this old road,
Yeah,
down to that
it wasn't the
spot.
road wasn't where it
It
is
wasn't
now.
any
See, it was
highway.
up here.
Okay. Oh, right.
It was way up high in the mountain.
Huh.
And I would go down
So
every.
not too many people were fishing.
No. This area through here was never fished.
Oh, no kidding.
Never. I'd fish it, but nobody else was crazy enough to drop over the
Sure.
run down the bank like I did. But yeah, that I can still
So you had this fish that was in there all summer.
all summer, and he would come after the fly a lot of times, then fall back, and it was right at Bogus Creek, and why he stayed there that long,
Yeah.
I never could understand it. But he was there for a good month, 6 weeks.
No kidding.
Stayed that exact same spot, and it was a big fish. And finally, I can still see it. Made that cast across there, and the fly come across in front of me, and here he came. Nailed it,
He took it.
and I hit him so hard I popped him off.
Oh, no way.
It just
Oh,
boom.
Roy. You mean you had it? Did you feel him?
Oh, just for a second.
Wow.
I really
Well,
hit him.
What did that feel like?
I felt like an ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I can
The
still
one
feel.
that got away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still feel it and still see that happening.
There you go. Gosh, that's one of those things I've had that happen too before,
Yeah.
where you don't ever forget about it sometimes.
No, you won't. I can still visualize it. I can see myself fishing for that fish time after time. Watching it. He'll come out and then he'd go back and
Yeah.
come out and go back. Oh, several weeks like that, and he held that same spot.
Yeah.
And finally, I hooked him, and that was the last time I saw him.
Wow. That was it.
That was
He,
it.
he felt
moved on upstream.
yeah,
That's
that
what
moved
it
him. That
He
got him
didn't
going.
like that spot
Wow.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
I think we've done a pretty good job here. As far as kind of some of the questions I had. Do you have anything else that maybe you want to we didn't touch on
He's
here?
done a good job covering
Yeah.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just like I say, it's a blessing that she'd put up with me.
Yeah. So how many years has it been that you guys?
75.
75?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
75,
amazing.
going on 7. Just
That is
about
absolutely
76.
amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and what is for people out there, what is there a secret? Any tip you want to give people?
Yeah. You have to put up with her.
Is that how it is?
No, you have to be. I'm blessed.
You just
I'm blessed. I'll put it that
you
way.
love each other and you just want
You
to make
bet.
things work.
Yeah. It hasn't always been easy, but
Oh no, it wasn't always easy.
Yeah.
When he had that effect from the war,
Yeah.
that was a hard one.
right.
to get through.
Yep.
At the time when we lost our daughter, actually probably brought us closer together
Mm.
if it did anything,
Right.
really.
Well, it's
But,
pretty
yeah.
amazing to you guys are inspiration for me, and not only fishing and where you guys live, but yeah, you guys 75 years that's pretty amazing.
I say it hasn't been difficult at all.
Yeah.
No, really, basically it hasn't.
It's been a beautiful life.
It was when we moved up here on the hill. I think we had a little.
I didn't, but you did.
Well, okay, we had a little bit of having to
Adjustment.
to adjust
Yeah.
adjustment.
Just
because
being
it was
away from
so
everything.
From
different.
the inn, yeah.
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 And I was still busy. See, really trying to do things, build all the houses. And
Oh, right.
And one of the neighbors, because we, I don't know, I guess I spoke crossly to you somewhere. One
Yeah.
of the neighbors said to me, she said, we should speak nicely to our spouse. And I thought, gee whiz, what do I sound like? Well,
Yeah.
She's been an angel.
yeah,
Huh.
so I don't know. It's just one of
She's
those
been an
things,
angel.
Yeah. That's
but
good
here
stuff.
we still are. So
Yeah. And you were, I was just thinking, 94?
95. He's 95.
95.
Just going on 96.
Wow. Yeah. And so is there any secrets there of how you?
Keep going.
Yeah.
Well, the best thing I can say is
Take a nap every day.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to ask you about that because when I called the other day,
yeah.
you mentioned that he was out in the car taking a nap, and I love that because maybe that's the secret.
Well, we got back
Have a
from
good
town.
sexual
and
life.
Oh, there you go. All right.
We got back from town and he was tired
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
just sat there and took a nap and
That's perfect. Oh, I love taking naps. That's
have a wife that chases you all over the place. See?
okay.
Yeah.
That's what she is.
All right, good stuff. So the next 6 to 12 months, anything new going on? You guys are going to be just hanging out here? Any?
What are we gonna do?
I don't know, kids will come for
Yeah.
Alaska for a month.
Oh, they're in Alaska?
Yeah,
yeah,
Frankie, our
Frankie,
oldest son.
the fishing kid. But,
No kidding.
But
Yeah,
actually,
he's
he doesn't fish so much anymore.
Yeah,
Huh.
he ran the emergency rooms in the big hospital there in Anchorage for
Oh.
a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
He's an MD.
Oh, okay.
He was
Emergency
graduated
room.
from Oregon State
Huh.
and then Oregon Health
OHSU?
Science Center.
Yeah.
OHSU.
OHSU, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a graduate of there.
So
Wow.
he and his wife and their one adopted daughter come down and spend about a month with us.
Oh, cool.
He is one of the.
Gotcha.
mid-November.
Okay, so that's coming up here.
He has been one of the. He is a superb fisherman.
Is he? So he comes down, when he
Yeah.
gets here in October, he's going to be fishing.
Well,
Well,
maybe.
Maybe, and not as
won't
much as he
fish
used
much.
to.
Yeah.
He won't fish much.
Yeah.
He has MS, well that makes a little difference.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But he's really doing
He's
pretty
doing
well.
pretty darn well.
I-
You wouldn't know it.
I just heard somebody talking about the MS. I'm not sure what, where he's at and stuff, but I heard about these hyperbolic chambers. Have you ever heard of that? You guys probably haven't.
No.
There's some new stuff. Maybe he's heard of it.
He'll be on it.
Yeah, he'll be on it. But there's
He'll
this.
be on
There's these actual. I heard this one person who's had MS for whatever it was, 20 years,
That's
and
what he
he's
is.
and he's managed to basically keep it controlled using this.
Well, he was 50 when he was diagnosed with
Okay.
it,
Well, he'd had it longer
and
than
he's
that. though.
71
Yeah.
now.
And he's 70. Okay.
He'd had it before that. We just
Gotcha.
didn't realize what was going on.
Wow. Yeah, he's 70. So that is amazing. Let's see, my dad is almost 80.
Uh-huh.
So my dad's kind of in between,
Mhm.
in between there. But yeah, it's that's one of the things I always, with him. I remember about 15 years ago when he kind of slowed down, and I became the one that was fishing more. But he's still out there. He still likes to, he doesn't get out as much. But
Frankie is. I mean, when he fishes,
He's good.
yeah,
He's a
Frankie,
good fisherman.
he is a
Still is.
superb. He's a superb caster.
Yeah.
He really is.
When he was younger, there wasn't anybody any better.
yeah. Well,
He'd
And
interrupt
Dennis,
you.
our other son, he
He never wanted to compete.
no, he didn't. No,
He didn't want to compete
with
He
Frankie.
did actually guide a few people.
Yeah.
When he was in high
so
school.
Dennis is your younger.
He was younger.
Yeah, he lives in Glide.
Oh, Glide.
And
Okay.
our daughter, our other daughter, lives in Glide.
Oh,
so,
okay. So right down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Oh, good deal.
Yep, we're very blessed to have him that close.
Yeah.
Frankie, I say, he still lives in Alaska.
Uh-huh.
And
Then you have some grandkids.
Well, yeah, we've got grandkids, and now we've got great grandkids.
You got great grand. All right.
Yeah, yeah, we've got 5
I don't
great grandkids at this point.
you keep track of my don't.
They're all from Frankie's side of the family because it's Brianna and it's Christian that
Yeah.
have had kids.
Who's teaching them to fish?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Frankie will be
Nobody.
here.
Yeah.
What is this? Now, Frankie will be here in about a
I
month.
think that Brian likes to fish. Reese's husband, but I don't think
He
they
doesn't
fish
do
much.
much of it, huh?
He
Yeah.
just doesn't do much.
So out of all your-
They live in Colorado,
Okay.
which has some good
Oh,
places to
has
go.
good fishing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But-
interesting. I think so. That's 3 boys or 2 boys?
We have two
Two
boys.
boys.
2 boys. Okay. Yeah.
We had
Two
two boys and
boys
two
a
girls.
daughter, and we
Gotcha.
had 2 girls. So
Okay.
we
Lost
one.
one.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. I was just again making the comparison. I have 3 older brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was doing that interview with my dad, we were talking about my brother has a son who doesn't really fish much,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really think about it, but it surprised me because I just assumed that everybody fished.
Well, Dennis did.
Well,
Yeah.
Dennis doesn't now.
No, he
doesn't.
doesn't.
Yeah.
But he got a
He
kick
never
out
liked
of
to
it when
compete
he.
with Frankie.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep.
Well, he just wasn't going to compete with.
He
that.
wasn't going to compete.
Right.
Frankie was
Frankie
was
was
one that
good.
everybody loved. You know,
Right.
everybody wanted to take fishing and go
Sure.
out fishing
Yep.
with him.
Yeah.
And Dennis just didn't want to compete with that.
Yeah.
Well, and Frankie, it's really Dennis kind of, he was the other kid, really.
Yeah.
Frankie was he was your baby when you got back from the war, and
Mhm.
and he loved anything you did. My gosh, he'd follow you around anywhere, and I don't know. Dennis just didn't want to compete with that.
No. That was too bad in a
Yeah.
way.
Well, in a way, but Dennis
He had his own life.
Dennis is he's doing a good job.
He's a
in
good
life.
son.
Mhm.
He's
And
a good.
he
He's
is
a great son.
right now. Dennis is 65,
Mhm.
just turned 66, and I still haven't gotten his birthday card.
That's right. September the 3rd.
And let's see, he's still driving ambulance for Bay City
City
Ambulance.
Ambulance.
Uh-huh.
He's an EMT.
Oh, wow.
And
Huh.
he's an EMT for Glide.
So you got a couple of kids that are into the
Yeah.
medical.
Medical.
Why
Yeah.
do you think that?
I don't know, but
Huh.
Dennis is really good at that
Uh-huh.
EMT, all that business. He's really
Right.
good at
And that's got to be a tough job,
Yeah.
too,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Oh,
you're
it
around.
is. It is. He's called it all kinds
Oh,
of
yeah.
day and night.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I say, Frankie was a graduate of Oregon Health Science
Yeah.
Center. You know.
Yep, which is one of the leaders.
Dennis graduated from Oregon State in whatever it was.
Geology.
Geology. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was up and finding things for.
He was all over Alaska. For a while.
Alaska,
Yeah.
yeah, he
He
was
worked
up in
for
Alaska.
Placid Oil Company,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
but he was basically on the Hard Rock. He
It
was in
was-
charge of the Hard Rock mineral exploration for
They were doing
Placid
that,
Oil Company in Alaska.
Oh, gotcha.
but they found out that the hard rock mineral thing wasn't going to amount to much up there, so
Oh.
he ended up getting into the building. He just got a job there as
Construction.
in construction in Alaska. Then he got married to Jan, and they got married in this house.
Oh, no kidding.
Frankie got married in this
Wow.
house.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a cool house. Did you build this house?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
so you built this.
Yeah.
That's why it's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's a log cabin.
Every notch. I
No kidding.
whittled.
How long did it take you to build this?
Still working on
Well,
it.
we never finished all the trim or anything,
Yeah.
but we just didn't care. So
Sure.
that's the way that went.
It's a rough house, so what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been standing for how many years now?
Well,
built it.
we finished it we moved
75.
75. We didn't move in until Denny and Jen got
1980.
married into this part of the house.
Oh.
There's an apartment up over the
Oh,
garage
there is.
here,
Oh, okay.
right through that door.
Gotcha.
Up, and
Oh, yeah.
and we lived in that until we got this part, because we got a job with a National Park Service up in Alaska, in the Bush, Alaska, and so we were going there in the summers instead of finishing up building here.
Uh-huh.
So everything kind of slowed down, and what got us going again was when Denny and Jan were going to get married and
Oh,
wanted to get
gotcha.
married here. So then
Oh.
we got with it to get.
Oh, so you actually built it up and finished it, and
Yeah.
Still not finished.
We had it all pretty much ready to move into, except for the kitchen, and we had
Yeah.
to get the kitchen done. So
wow,
yeah.
oh, what a
that was
perfect
great.
spot. Yeah.
We had that one for Dennis Black. He had
How many weddings we had? Three.
three.
3 weddings. And has that pond? How long has the pond been out there?
Well, we finished that. You finished that when you were
75.
when you were coming back from Alaska. Yeah, so that was 80.
1980.
I
Huh,
think it was about
1980.
80. When you
So
finished it.
if I grab my trout flies, I might have a chance to catch one back there.
They're
You do, and you-
babies.
You do, and
They're
you'll
our
probably
babies.
wind up in the pond.
So nobody fishes for them unless it says.
We
I
let
let
kids, little kids
Oh, yeah.
fish
Oh,
for
cool.
let 'em
Cool.
ride
That's
off or
awesome.
whatever.
There's some probably going 8 pounds. in
And we
there.
let
Yeah.
people out there cast,
Oh,
fly
yeah,
fish,
casting
fly
pond,
Practicing
fishing.
fly
sure.
casting
Yeah.
out there.
Perfect. Well, I guess you got the river only
Yeah.
stones, almost a stone's throw down.
Well,
it feels like.
I own both sides of the river.
Yeah, right here. There's
Yeah.
a little piece of
Oh, really?
land on the other side
Yeah.
of the river that's part of this.
No kidding.
Thing.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which
So I
we've
own the
never-
river here.
Ah,
Well, I don't think that it'll hold up in court, right?
Well, I could keep them from going along the side.
Well, there you go. I don't
Well-
know, you have to put a sign up.
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna.
No fishing, no trespassing.
There you go. There you go. Well, if you have a sign, I can put it up when I'm down
Yeah,
there tonight.
yeah.
But hopefully, I might not catch a fish tonight, but I'm definitely gonna have a good time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
You're
find some new water.
so you're gonna stay
Yeah, I think I'm gonna camp. I think that little camp up above is perfect. There's
on
a
Bogus Creek?
no, I was up above.
little
it.
Island
tiny one?
camp.
Yeah, the island.
Oh, Island
yeah.
Camp.
That's a neat little.
Yeah.
Except you do have some noise there.
That's the one, right? It's right there. But I see
Yeah,
it
but
pretty
Williams
soundly.
Creek, you don't get that noise.
Oh, at Williams.
Williams
well-
Creek is not allowed even people to stay in there anymore.
Yes,
Oh, they
you
changed
can.
that.
Can't you?
No, it's still.
Yeah, I didn't see
Honey,
that
I
one.
bet you can.
Huh?
You can camp. You can camp
Well,
in there.
don't tell anybody, but because they've got a sign in
Yeah.
there.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I saw
Well,
that
it
one.
was after the '09 fire that they did that, so it's been a while.
Hmm.
It's
I
been
bet
a
you
long
can camp. I
time.
bet you can camp in there.
Well, they've never gone in there and cleaned it out.
I bet you can
I
camp in
don't.
there.
But yeah. Well,
Well,
I'm
the
not
Susan
telling
Creek, that's like the
you.
That's
Susan
too many
Creek
people.
is
yeah,
so
that's
busy.
it's crazy. I mean, that's your RV thing.
Yeah.
You know, the reason for that is that there's
The showers.
showers.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing.
And
Yeah,
the wives want the showers.
exactly. Yeah, that's too
Yeah.
much for me. I'm more of a
Yeah.
the camp. I like the unimproved
The
camp
guy
stuff.
that runs the one right up here, Bogus Creek, he's a peach. He's
Oh,
a
really?
really
Oh,
nice.
Dan's
guy.
a good piece.
Yeah.
But just on the other side of the Mott Bridge here.
Yeah.
Not Mott Bridge, but the Right Creek Bridge. Go up there and there's a couple of neat little.
Oh, you
There's some
go
spots up
across.
there.
You go across the bridge and
Yeah.
go back up there. There's a
Some couple of
campsite,
neat little
unimproved
campsites in there.
campsite in
Oh,
there.
really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no
If
kidding.
there's nobody in there,
Oh, wow.
it would be nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm pretty easy.
Uh-huh.
I'll probably fish till dark and then sleep and get up in the morning before. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to get up before the light so I can maybe get a good spot. It's gonna be busy tomorrow. I don't know.
You're gonna sign our guest book.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me just thank you guys for having me over.
Well, gosh.
I appreciate it.
After you sign the book, you're officially part of us.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So this is kind of everybody who stops by gets to sign, huh?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we had a bunch of retired military guys up here last Sunday.
Uh-huh.
Had quite a party out of that one.
No kidding.
Well, they were all PTSD
Oh, wow.
recovering
Yeah.
guys. So
Have you guys heard of there's that fly fishing group? There's a group that's who they work with. I'm drawing a blank.
Serenity.
No, it's
well, no, that's just local.
Yeah.
We have a friend that when he came home from Germany, what was that, 3 years ago now? And anyway, that's what he's been doing ever since, and his wife is helping him to put together a deal working with PTSD guys,
Mhm.
fly fishing with PTSD guys.
Yeah.
And he works really hard at it.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it's a big, but I'm going to be interviewing them next month. But basically, what they do is they take people that have been to war
Mhm.
with all the PSD, and some of them have never fly fished in their life, but they teach them how to fly fish and give them everything they need and teach them how to tie flies.
Uh-huh.
And
Is
a
that
lot of them
what-
say it
That's
changes
Rusty's
their life.
doing though.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Rusty
but
Lineker?
he's
What's
kind
that?
of a separate
Rusty
thing.
Lineker.
No, I haven't heard.
No, there's some other people doing it.
Mine's
Bend or
no. This is a national organization. It's a
Oh,
very.
okay.
If I
Yeah.
said it, you would know. I'm just drawing a blank on the
Yeah.
name. I'll put a link in the notes for this.
Okay.
But yeah, they just do great stuff. They basically take people out.
Well, Rusty's working with the VA locally here.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Gotcha.
So he has fly tying shops,
Uh-huh.
periods that
Oh,
are
yeah.
with the VA
Yeah.
too, for guys
Yep.
that are interested.
and he brings them up here and let me work with them.
Oh, no kidding.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll bring up
Busload of
every so
people.
often they'll get some that
Yeah.
are kind of staying in at the VA.
Gotcha.
For a
I'll
period of
bet you it's the
time.
same group.
Yeah.
I'll bet
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
connected to that group because that's yeah.
Yeah, they bring them up in a bus. And
Yeah. So
I
that's
work with
exactly.
them.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow.
Casting.
So you're still doing
Mhm.
all sorts of stuff. I mean, that's a. So again, it gets back to that thing. You guys have some amazing energy here. You're.
Not really.
Well,
but
not
just-
really anymore.
No, we do okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's still driving. He
I
still
can
gets,
still-
No kidding.
Still gets
Yeah.
through to
I
town
can
and
still
back.
outcast most people.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Most people work too hard at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys,
Most people.
Yeah.
because every once in a while you get a woman up there and she picks it up right
Oh,
off
yeah.
the bat.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Casting shouldn't be that much work.
It is.
It should just
It
be
is.
if you
Let
do
the
it
rod-
right,
Let the rod do it.
let the rod do the work.
And timing and the rod action.
Do you fish? You have a bamboo? Have you ever fished bamboo?
I have
Yeah.
several bamboo.
You have some bamboo.
rods.
Yeah.
A lot of rods in the closet over there.
Oh yeah.
These are ones that he would get out every once in a while, but gosh, he hasn't. I think the
Yeah.
fly rods that you've been using are standing up around someplace. I don't know.
Yeah. I saw a
where.
couple on the front deck. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know where.
Nice. Well, this has been great. Appreciate this. Is I hope you guys weren't too bored throughout my.
No,
we-
it's nice
we-
having you here.
We
Yeah.
appreciate your wanting to.
Yeah. Oh, this is people are gonna love this. I've mentioned this a little bit to a few people and about
Mhm.
coming out here, and yeah, everybody's really excited. So
Yeah.
and I talked to Dean, of course. Talked to Dean.
Dean Pinnerty.
Yeah. You guys. Yeah. I mean, you were his biggest probably mentor right out here in this river. Did he?
Dean, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had actually I interviewed him in a podcast in
Mhm.
an episode a while back, and yeah, he did a good job. Talked about fishing the river. I got a lot of feedback on that one too. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's fun. I'm just like I said at the start, I'm kind of connecting the dots. And,
Mhm.
now I've connected with you, and I'm not sure who else I might connect because of this interview. I always have a question I ask each of my guests at the end. I ask them if there's maybe 2 or 3 people they know who might love having a conversation like we did, today. But for you, it's probably tough because most of the people you've known have probably already passed on, right, over the years, or at least.
No, a lot of them have, but
Yeah, a lot of them have, but there's a lot left.
Yeah, there's still people out there.
yeah.
We've kept making friends.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
just the way.
Well, I'll let you guys get back to it. I appreciate you guys taking all the time, and I'll stop by next time I'm up or give you a call.
better, yeah. And if-
This river's definitely. I know I've been up here. I've been up here before. I just haven't really focused on Steelhead, so it's amazing. I'm excited to get out there tonight and try to find a fish.
So this is the first time you've fished it. Huh?
Yeah. I can't believe that too. All these years I've been in Oregon, and I never really. I've been so in love with the Deschutes. That's always been my river, But this is every
the
bit.
shoots is too easy to fish.
It is easy. It can be easy.
This is a little bit tougher. You gotta be a better fisherman to really do it.
Yeah, it's the graduate school of fishing.
That's right.